But
Singapore is a country.
getting a car is a social
When
status.
it comes to owning a car in Singapore, you shouldn't even
Nowadays,
consider it. It's not an option.
impossible to be even out of your parents'
I
house.
think the question should be what's wrong with Singaporeans.
Okay, now let's begin. I really want to ask whether we as a society are romantically challenged. What's wrong with our people? Why do we need the government to intervene?
You said government, so now you take a while to
Also dating agencies.
What's our problem? Why do we need to be encouraged? Why do we need to be taught how to date?
I mean, we've been taught everything else, no? We've got tuition for like everything, so why not dating?
Come to think about it, we have
Yeah.
tuition, we are
But we are
taught that
successful
we
academically.
Exactly. So
Are we
if you
successful
introduce-
marriage-wise?
Well, if you introduce that in school, I'm sure we'll like want if you're gonna get graded on it. If you're gonna say if you're gonna get graded,
You're asking for
gonna get a good
trouble?
job.
Introduce it in school?
I mean, I was in a convent for 11 years, and like
But convent girls?
Convent girls.
High
represent. I Jason Pyle, what up? Okay, in any case, I was in a convent for 11 years. I'm not Catholic, so I didn't have catechism, and I didn't go for group tuition. So technically, I would not have been exposed to boys till I got into poly. And when you get into poly, that's a bit late, no? You're about 18, 19 maybe. And then when you're interacting with boys for the first time, it's just like, ooh, culture shock. Was this
Fully agree.
Yeah.
I'm a convent girl
nice?
Really culture shock?
too. Really, very much.
You mean you don't meet boys outside school?
Being the good girl.
I had a cousin my age, so a year older. So, but if you don't, I think it can be hard. You know, how are you gonna? Where do you find the boys?
And in addition to
everywhere.
that, you have
Yeah.
the cultural thing. In addition to that, you have the
Yeah,
culture.
if you got strict parents, you're probably in a convent for a reason. And then like, where do you find these boys? You don't have like, unless your friend has a boyfriend or a brother, an older brother, in which case you're at their house every day, perving on their older brother. They're not like, it can be hard. I think it can be hard to find,
Yes.
especially when you're 13 or whatever.
So why?
Yeah,
Do we
we
need
do.
help? Do our young people need help to flirt?
Well, it's not exactly to flirt, but more exposure.
Mm.
Yeah. Because a lot of us are pretty much busy at work and everything. So if there is incentive from the governments, why not?
No, but now you're talking of boys meeting girls when they start working.
Yes.
But doesn't that start earlier?
Start earlier, meaning like back in school.
In university, in school?
Yeah, yeah.
Not maybe in school, in university.
Even
Yes,
younger,
we've been conditioned
at
that you
home.
must study hard, you know,
At
you must
home.
get good grades, then you will get a good career later. So a lot
Exactly.
of people focus on their studies.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually have to be incentivized to date. I mean, that's a new concept that I never come across before, but how does one incentivize someone to date?
You must not have received SDN's information.
Which is?
Yeah, because every other time then there'll be like big mega events and also like incentives from SDN to say, hey, come and join the dating events because it's going like, for example, this year what they had during the Valentine's Day.
Ball thingy.
Yeah. So
Okay.
all dating events like 50% off. So it's like,
But you're
oh,
talking,
okay.
now you're talking of creating opportunities.
Yeah.
Putting aside creating opportunities, let's look at the ability of people to communicate, to interact,
Yes.
to attract.
Yes.
Now, do we have that? Do our young people have that? Does it come
Ability
naturally?
to
I
attract.
think given the correct situation, meeting people that you click with, generally most people would be able to socialize. Like even when I organize the dating events, we don't see, you know, geeky people sitting down and shy and not.
What's wrong with geeky? You know,
Yeah,
some people like
everyone's
geeks.
Exactly, there's nothing wrong with being geeky,
Yeah.
right? Except you have to expose these geeky people to more girls.
Yes.
So that they get
Okay.
an opportunity to attract girls who like geeky guys. Okay, so even at dating events, right, we generally I see them socializing, interacting, communicating. So I see that most people, given the right opportunities, circumstance, I think they can.
So you're actually saying you don't need dating agencies, you don't need the SDN?
We need dating agency to provide the opportunity.
The opportunities.
To meet
Then
people.
why does the SDN support courses to teach you how to flirt in the polytechnics?
In Polytechnic.
Whoa, we had that in
Seriously?
Poly?
Oh,
I would have
yeah.
aced
Should have
that,
gone to
man.
poly, man.
I was told.
Yeah.
When did you leave poly?
I was 21.
I just Just let
But I got no problem. No, but I think that it should be introduced in schools way earlier.
Yeah.
Socializing and being like, you're not socially awkward, you know how to speak to people of different cultures or races, you know, if a white man comes in, you know how to talk to the person, you know, like kowtowing to the, like, ooh, what up, foreigner?
No, but what you're saying is that we don't have a problem, that our people know how to interact, our people know how to attract the opposite sex.
I'm not so sure about that.
There's a group of
Yeah.
people
Like
who are
I
not
have
so-
clients from, 25, 26, 30, 32, 35. And they're local people. And not only local, also some Caucasians. And they find it hard. They find it hard to interact. And when, we look at their families, they don't come from families that were outward going and very social, and that they had friends at home, and they went to people's from quite very family centered, many of it. So that they're not quite exposed to it and not at ease.
And this is cultural conditioning.
I think that it has, because if you look, let's look at Chinese culture or the Indian culture, or let's look at Malaysian cultures.
Malay culture.
Not Malay culture. They're not all out there, and the woman is more inwards, the man is more inwards. If you look at, I'm a Latino, I'm a South American, and I'm not Swedish, I'm not German. We culture is different. For us is, it's rhythm, it's music, you're out there since you're little, you're playing with all the children, you're expressing yourself. But we are endeavoring at the moment to provide for Singaporeans to come out of their shells and just be comfortable with themselves and just to be out there. And that's only one issue. There is other issues for women, career development, etc.
But if it is culturally and ingrained, and it is easier for the Latino to be more expressive and warm and all that, and for us culturally it's more difficult, I mean, what are you going to do about it?
When I came to Singapore 35 years ago, there were no Singaporeans that knew how to dance. No
Seriously?
Singaporeans.
No, the
that-
waltz, the foxtrot.
One or two or a few, but if you want to really look at them dancing and in a salsa or something like that, it was very awkward. Today, Singaporeans, my God, can they dance? They've learned it. And now the young people, it's not like they learn the step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It just come naturally. It can be learned.
If it can be learned, what is it that we want to learn? What is it that you're teaching?
For us,
Yeah.
I guess.
What do you
it is,
need to teach?
For dating agency, what happens is typically you're meeting people who are strangers, right? You don't know each other. So I think what they need to learn is firstly, of course, the basic, social etiquette. How should you, behave properly when you go on the first dates, for example.
Why? Because it puts people off if you're...
I guess it's more of
Boorish?
you had a better chance. Let's put it that way. One whole week, let's say as a lady, you meet 5 guys. You only have this time on hand and you need to pick one of the guys that you want to progress on further, for example. Obviously, you'll choose the one who give you maybe the best first impression, and make you feel like you want to, if he asks me, I'm going to go out with him again.
Okay, so this is teaching the guy how to behave with the lady.
It's more like a power of self-marketing, marketing yourself. How do
Okay.
you tell the lady, look, kind of like choose me to go out with?
But that's like totally subjective, no? Like depending on like if you're in a like my sister, she's real, she's proper and she's a bit chi-chi and all that. So if you have a nice gentleman of a guy who sits down, pulls out her chair for her, opens the door for her, she's more likely to go out with that guy. Whereas on the other hand, I'm more of a, be real a little bit, Can you listen to good music? Can you drink very well? So I guess so how can you teach someone proper social etiquette if it's not,
Okay, that's the next step of things.
Yeah.
But first of all, at least the guy doesn't put the girls off. So there's basic social.
But she likes the rough guys.
Yeah, we like the rough
Yeah.
guys.
But at least I believe that if the gentleman will pull the chair for you, you'll be like, okay, score a little bit of extra points, and then it's the next step that I discover you a little bit more.
Do you think it's a generational thing? Because maybe back in the day that would have been like, oh, gentlemen, but right now dude, trying way too hard.
I guess you're also so influenced by the Western culture, so you see things happening in films, so your expectation of a guy it's sort of like up there when you see that, oh, you know, he's doing that for her, and you will think, all the guys that I meet, they don't do anything like that. So I guess the point is that
I'm going more along the lines of women now, like we've got like education and
Okay, so what do you look for in a guy?
you just need to be real funny and
In looks?
in looks. I don't really care about looks very much,
Okay.
to be honest. You just have to have a really good personality, have an amazing sense of humor. Everything else can be worked around, you know.
How about you,
Be a good
Shaista?
person.
probably someone who's more of a gentleman, I guess.
See?
The pull-out chair type.
Shit.
But that's too
Yeah,
much
but
for you.
not too much.
Yeah, I guess the pull-out chair type is, I don't know, I mean, most ladies don't expect that. I think what we are coaching is the basic. Yeah. So whether you, some ladies may like more, you know, funky guys, some ladies would like that. I mean, that one is more of personal preference. But the bare minimum, you have to be there. For example, I guess by most people's standard, you shouldn't be late 30 minutes for a first date, for example, right? So whether you like a funky guy or you like a gentleman guy, I guess most of us don't like somebody who's late, for example. So that's something very basic. Or if you go to a restaurant, usually you are expected to wear properly, maybe not tuxedo, but at least not, you know, Bermuda singlet, right? So that is something basic.
Well, on everything I disqualify myself. How about you, Jonathan?
I was just thinking about a thought about
How
what
do you
just
laugh out with
mentioned.
girls?
Sorry, the kind of girls that I like.
No.
The
Are you? What are the sort? Do you actually succeed in getting girls attracted to you?
I mean, I kind of think if I have to go out of my way to pull out a chair when it's not a natural part of myself, just to impress a girl, what's the point?
And you wouldn't do it for a girl?
No, I would want to give the girl who I really am, the real self, and not misrepresent myself
Which
to
is?
that person, right? I mean, okay, if I was to share a little bit, I think it's a little bit deceptive to kind of give a false impression as to who I am to a girl. I think if a girl ought to like me, she should like me for who I am, and not the false impression I'm just trying to create just to get her
Because then you'll be
attention.
expected to maintain that throughout your relationship.
Yes.
No?
No, but
Why don't
we're
you-
talking
he
about just
doesn't
being
pull out the
polite.
chair anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't open the cab door.
But
It
there are
doesn't
two
work.
things. Is that one is the outside, is the manners, is the behavior,
it's
is
the
how to treat a
consideration.
woman, is the consideration, is the care. And another thing is how you feel inside. They're not necessarily conflicting, you know, because
Okay.
a man can be who he is and still have a sense of
Are we
pride.
seeing also a generation? You speak. Are we seeing a generational gap? That the older people want the gentleman and the younger people can't be bothered.
Not
I think
necessarily.
expectations are pretty high because, with reference to something said earlier about the Western cultures, don't forget that what you see on television, on the movies, are accomplished actors with Hollywood scriptwriters behind them. They can really do the stuff. They can charm away, you know, brilliantly. For a lot of young people, they've got to learn the trade of being thing. And I think Eugenia's point is quite interesting because there are certain formalities which enable, like dressing, turning up on time and things like that, formalities like that, which provide a platform for rather shy people to sit on, to get to a point where they can then have a more comfortable conversation.
Wouldn't that be just common sense though? If you're going out, if you ask a girl out at 7, show up at 7.
Yes, of course it is. It is.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
that's consideration. It's not social graces.